here. Welcome back to Handmade No Hallmark. Today I've got a fun fall card featuring a new product from Fawn, the Ta-Da Diorama, in a fun older set. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink blend my little background panel here, and I'm using some Spiffy Speckles paper. This isn't the new glitter kind, it's their older set. And I'm also taking a cloud stencil and some tumbled glass Distress Oxide inks, and I am ink blending a cloud background. This panel was cut using the Ta-Da Diorama, and I'm going to show you all the pieces for that here in just a minute. I wanted to get my background nice and ink blended first, just so I had it done ahead of time before I started assembling. I really love the way that this looks. I love the speckled paper because it helps, like, if you like to do splatter, it adds some really fun texture and interest to the background. And then adding the clouds on the background as well. I never really thought about doing ink blending with stencils on like pattern paper like this, but it is really fun and it adds a really cool detail. Next, I also have the Ta-Da Diorama Hillside add-ons, and I cut those out of some green cardstock, and I'm ink blending some Rustic Wilderness on top, again just to add some interest and dimension to these, just to add to the fun Ta-Da Diorama. I was super excited whenever I got this in the mail. I couldn't wait to play with it. It is super easy. I am not one for like interactive cards too much, just because I always mess them up or I struggle with it. It takes a long time for me, but this came together beautifully. There was a couple of things that I should have done differently, but next time I know for sure. So here I have all my pieces die cut using the dies that come in the set. These two panels here, there are score lines, and then there's these little feet things. And what you're going to do is you're going to line up the tabs in the middle section, and then the little tab will point to the larger portion. If you go onto Fawn's YouTube channel, there's a really good video that Kelly did that's a really detailed description about how to put this together. So I've watched it like 3 or 4 times before I put it together, so I knew for sure how to do it. So you're just going to run those through your die cut machine, and what it's going to do is it's going to add these little slots into this these pieces of cardstock, excuse me, and that's going to be where you're going to add your little hillsides once you get everything folded. It is super easy to put together. Again, I do recommend watching that video just so you get a better step-by-step. I'm not very good at kind of explaining how to put things together, but I'm going to try my best. Next, you can use any type of adhesive. I like to use score tape or any type of tape runner instead of liquid glue here. You're going to add adhesive to the smaller portion of those embossed areas, and you're going to fold away from you along those score lines. And this is going to help you create like the window portion or the sides of your Ta-Da diorama. So again, fold away from you, reinforce with a bone folder, and you're on to step number 2, which is doing the back portion of the Ta-Da diorama. So here's where I kind of messed up in my thinking process. I was thinking that I needed to trim this little piece, my ink blended piece, down so that you couldn't see it on the background, but it gets covered up with these little flaps here. So you could easily put your ink blended piece right over top, or you can attach these right to your ink blended piece. I just wanted it to be a little bit more sturdy. So you're going to use that adhesive and you're going to attach it along the side where that little half moon shaped notches, and you're just going to line those up. There is going to be a little bit of a border, and that's where I thought it was going to be a problem with my ink blended piece, because I didn't want any blue really showing. I wanted it to be a surprise, so that's why I cut my piece down to fit inside of that space at the back of the Ta-Da diorama. Now this did make it like a little bit thicker, so I would recommend using a thinner cardstock if you're going to do something like this where you want to keep like everything a surprise as to like what's going on the inside. But again, it doesn't really matter. Whoever's going to open it's going to be surprised regardless, but this was just my thought process at the time. This was the first time that I was actually playing with it and creating a card, so just bear with me and just follow her video. Again, this is just another way to do it. I don't say that this is wrong. This is just another way to create a Ta-Da diorama background. and mine was just a little bit too large. I couldn't get those little wings to fold down, so I just trimmed it up just a little bit more to get it to fit, and they closed up just fine. Super cool. I love it. Next, you have the front window piece, and I've seen lots of different creators cut a window out of different shapes and sizes, which is really cool. And then there's these little like tabs, I guess, and you're going to fold on the score lines away from you and add adhesive to the little tabs, and this is what's going to go on the front of your card and what's going to create the whole kind of like scene. Again, I'm not the greatest at explaining how these go together, but I think it came together pretty good. I was really pleased with it. I was super excited to play with it, and my kids love it, and I think it's super cool. I'm really excited to play with it a bit more. I have a few more ideas for the holidays with this, but we'll see. I'm super excited. So once you have your adhesive on there, you're going to line up the little half moon shapes right along the bottom and kind of just leave a little bit of space and press it down with your bone folder. Do the same on the other side, and you'll be able to see what this creates here. Get that lined up, adhere down. So it's creating like these little pockets almost that you're going to slip those little wing sections into, and that's what's going to create the Ta-Da diorama. And here again, this is me experimenting and playing around. I probably could have done the whole portions of these in this new eggnog plaid. I guess it's the flannel. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I'll make sure it's in the description below. This is from Lawn Fawn's newest release. I could have done the whole box construction with this, but I wanted it to have a little bit more stability. Again, I would recommend using a thinner cardstock if you're going to do something like this, just because it is definitely thicker. So I did have a little bit of trouble getting it to really kind of open, but once I played with it quite a bit and it, went through a couple of times, I didn't have any serious issues. It does work. It works just fine. But just keep that in mind if you're going to do a couple of layers, to not do anything too thick or it's not going to work very good. So, but once you get it moving and you really get it kind of sliding, it works out just fine. As you can see here, super fun, super easy to put together. And then you can obviously put the hills in before you put the front on. But again, I wasn't thinking, and I was just playing around, and this was the first time I was ever putting it together. So, you can do it either way. You can easily slide either one of those out and it makes it 10 times easier. But again, I wasn't using my brain, but then I did. So you just fold the little tabs down, and then you don't do any adhesive on these at all. These need to be free floating in these little slots that you created, and that's what helps make the mechanism work. If you glue these down at all, it will not work. So no adhesive. These little tabs are just used to help you put it through the slot, and then you fold them back out, and that holds those little hills inside of the box. So you can see, you just pull those out. I'm going to slide that back into place. And then we have our Ta-Da diorama. I'm so excited. I love it so much. So now I'm going to get into coloring all of the elements that I'm going to use on my card today. I am using an older Lawn Fawn set. This is the Happy Harvest set, and I pre-stamped everything using some Simon Says Intense Black ink on some Copic friendly paper. I'm going to use all of my Copics today. Everything will be listed on the screen for you, and I'm going to put on some music for you to enjoy, and I'll catch up with you guys once we're all done with the coloring. Now that all the coloring was finished, I'm going to go in and add some of my favorite white gel pen details and some glitter. So I started out putting some white gel pen on some areas that kind of bled over with my Copics. And then I remembered that whenever I want to add glitter, and I'm going to do gel pen as well, that you always want to try to do any kind of liquid shimmer before you do gel pen, because it can have a tendency to kind of erase the white gel pen. And I was really careful on this pumpkin, but just if you're going to do that, make sure you do it ahead of time and then go in with your white gel pen. It just makes life easier. You don't have to worry about it getting kind of wiped away, and then you can go right over top of that and it glides right over it, no issues whatsoever. So again, this is a completely optional step. I just love adding these, especially to Lawn Fawn images. They just really bring the characters to life, and I just think it dresses them up. Again, it's optional. I don't follow any kind of like light sources or anything like that. It just kind of go with what I think looks the nicest and what really I think sets off the characters. And this little Scarecrow has been my favorite set. I think this was one of my very first Lawn Fawn sets that I ever got, and I still love it to this day. Next, I'm going to go in with a small black pen and just add a couple of details to the little Scarecrow, and then I'm going to use the coordinating dies to cut those all out. Next, I have a top folding A2 sized card base here, and I'm going to stamp on the inside. I'm going to stamp a greeting using the little wagon full of pumpkins again, and another set from Lawn Fawn. This is the Simply Fall Sentiments greeting set. A lot of really fun sentiments for Halloween and for Thanksgiving, those sorts of things, anything for the fall. And I'm going to use some chocolate ink from MFT to stamp this down. I wanted to make sure I got that greeting nice and straight on there, using the grid lines of my MISTI to help me get that lined up. I'm going to stamp that down, and I think it's so cute. Love that. So grateful for you. And then I also cut another piece of that, I think it's called Favorite Flannel. Again, I'm going to have everything listed in the description below. And I use the eggnog piece, or the eggnog color, which I think is so fun. I love that color, and I love all the names for their new fall, like their plaid collection. Super cute. And then I'm also going to do another greeting for the front of my card. So I am going to use that same Simply Fall Sentiments, and I'm going to cut the Happy Halloween apart. It's okay, it doesn't hurt the stamps. You can still use them the same way. And I am going to stamp that down using that same chocolate ink, and I'm going to use a flag banner that comes in the Ta-Da diorama, and I'm going to cut that out to go on the front of my card. And I just stamped that down on some just plain white paper, white cardstock. I love that the Ta-Da diorama comes with a few extra dies, like there's this banner die, and then there's some clouds and a moon, which I think are really fun. So here's that eggnog paper, and I'm going to adhere it down to the front of my card base, and then I'm going to adhere my Ta-Da diorama right to the front of this. Now, you don't have to put the Ta-Da diorama finished piece onto a card. You can send it in the mail just like this. It folds up nice and flat, so you don't have to worry about that. But I wanted to put it on a card and create it into a card. So next I'm going to go in and start adding all of my fun little details. Now, when you're adding things to the Ta-Da diorama, you need to be very mindful of where you're placing things, because these do slide, and if you put something too far to the left or to the right, it will impede the sliding mechanism of the little hills. So just keep that in mind. You want to keep things kind of more centered on those hill spaces. And then if you're going to decorate anything on the outside, like I'm doing here, you want to make sure you're just adhering to the frame itself and not to those sliding windows. You can put things on there, but they do recommend that it's more of like a stamped image instead of doing die cuts, because it can impede the sliding. So just like I use that thicker cardstock and that pattern paper, you don't want to do that on the windows themselves. They do just recommend doing stamping, which I think you could easily do like a masked stamp scene on the sliding windows and create a full effect, which I think would be really fun. So I also die cut the word fall using Henry's ABCs out of some canned pumpkin cardstock, also from Lawn Fawn. And then I'm going to go with some glitter pen to make them look all nice and glittery. And then I'm also going to go over it with some white gel pen after that dries and just make it a little bit more fun. Gonna add my little stack of pumpkins and my crow onto here. Use my reverse tweezers to help kind of hold them in place. And I love these Henry's ABCs. I think they're just so fun and whimsical. They go so well with the Lawn Fawn line. And I love adding white gel pen detail because I think it really kind of dresses them up. So you can see here that I'm having a little bit of trouble getting it to slide. I kind of put my Scarecrow in a bad place because I have a hard time kind of grabbing that tab. But the hardest issue I was having was that my crows were a little bit too, or my crow and pumpkin stack was a little bit too far over, that it was kind of impeding the sliding. So again, just keep that in mind when you're building this, that you don't want to keep, put anything too far either side. But I played around with it a little bit and was making sure that everything was working. And I wanted to do like a tie close, just to kind of help keep it closed, and again, just to add a little bit more fun to it. So I have some brown twine. I think I've had this forever, so I don't really have a link for it. I think I got it at like a local craft store. So you could use any twine, baker's twine, anything like that. Lawn Fawn's got a really good selection. And I'm going to tie just a simple bow, and I'm sorry I'm a little off screen there, and just going to help kind of hold it together, and again add some more interest and texture to the card, and kind of make it look more like a present. That's kind of what I was thinking as I was doing this. I'd be like, oh, this is a cute little present for somebody, so they have to open it, and when I hear it down onto my card base, that string will stay in place, so you won't have to worry about that sliding around, so it does act kind of like a present. So adding a lot of adhesive here, and going to get that centered up right there on the card base. Just kind of press it down. I did kind of push it down and hold on to it for a little bit because there is a lot going on, and I wanted to make sure it was nice and sturdy. And then while it's closed, I'm going to add all of the other elements on the front of my card. So I've got my little happy banner, which goes beautifully. I love this little stitched banner. It's so cute. And then I'm going to add my fall letters. Again, you want to make sure that you're only adhering to that frame on the front of the card. So you can see I'm only adding glue to the bottoms of my letters so that it doesn't adhere to those sliding windows. And they're held on there pretty good. There's enough, I guess, surface there for those to hold on to that you can really add some fun stuff. I've seen some really cool cards from other designers. I think Maureen Simon made a really fun fall card using I think the fairy set from Lawn Fawn and a couple of other things. She filled that thing up. It looks so pretty. Gonna add my other pumpkins off to the side here to kind of frame up the rest of the front of this card, kind of make a little mini scene. And then I did have another pumpkin and I lost it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I didn't know where it went. And then I did stamp and die cut all of these leaves. These are from that same Happy Harvest. I just used my MFT inks and stamped those off screen and die cut them because that was a long process because there's only 2 leaves, and so I had to run it through my die cutting machine over and over again. But I just went with some pretty fall colors just to kind of fill in the scene and make it look really fun and like you're out in the middle of the fallen leaves. I know our leaves aren't changing yet. They're slowly starting to change. We finally have peaked and we are dipping into the cooler fall weather. And then I found my pumpkin. So then I was trying to figure out where to put it. I really wanted to put it on the front of the card next to this scarecrow because I just love pumpkins. And so I took that yellow leaf off, and then I was gonna try to put it on the front, but I ended up saving those and I put them on the inside of the Ta-Da diorama. So here you can see we're going to open it up. grab those little pull tabs, and oh, it's so cute. I love it so much. I had so much fun creating this, and I can't wait to make another one. It's just super easy. That's what I want. I want super easy, quick cards, and I did like a template to start with. Like, I have it in with my die set, and I use that template to design my cards. So I have a template ready to go. I get out whatever stamps and things I want to use, and it really helped me lay out the design and get this card together. And that will finish up this card for today. I really hope you enjoyed this fun fall card featuring an older stamp set and the new Ta-Da diorama. If you did enjoy the video, please consider hitting the like button. It lets YouTube know you're enjoying all of the content. And also hit the subscribe and the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. I'll see you again soon. Bye!
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.